record, so thank you. Yeah, we have here with us Marko Brajovic, a great architect, designer, master of genetics architecture from 2005. Now very popular, very famous, making such designs, incredible designs. No, I was telling, for example, to the students that it's great that you can present this, because they have now a view of if they work so hard as you in 15 years as you, they can be in some places, in some level, because in architecture, you know that is one of the most difficult practice profession for be stable. So you need more than 10 years working hard until you arrive to a position that gives you some stability. And normally this don't happen in other professions. But for the students of this year, it's you give them hope to see that if they work hard as you, they can arrive to some level. So thank you for being here. And well, I don't know if you want to say some introduction words or.
Okay, thank you, Alberto. Thank you, Wiki, for this opportunity. I'm very, very touched to be back again in contact with Wiki. It was really important for my career, but more than anything for my personal development. And I think our personal development is fundamental for our professional development. When we are seeking knowledge, research, and intellectual adventures, then the professional part comes together. So I was honestly never so much worried about being an architect, being a good or bad architect. I was always like pursuing research and experimentation, and that's what WIC helped me to format in a methodology, in a strategy, and to learn the basic tools that I could evolve with. So that's a kind of suggestion. It's to follow your dreams, follow your researches, be curious, and study all life. It's a long life learning, I believe in so. So I'm again like studying. I'm coming to all of you students with humility as part of you. Eventually, I don't have nothing to teach you, but I have something to share with you. So I want to share with you today my experience, my professional experience from the last 15 years. Actually, the year I graduated at WIC, the next year I moved to Brazil as a director of the design school of Instituto Europeu de Design here. So that was a really important move and was a big challenge for my life. So I came with my baggage, hand baggage actually, with just few important books, and with big curiosity and with the tools that was kind of pretty unknown in this region. Yes, surely we had research in the Latin America even before in parametric architecture, in biomimicry, biomimetics. But eventually in Sao Paulo, when I came, was something new to program forms and not to design forms. So this kind of morphogenesis coming from tools mimicking natural processes of design was something kind of that attract interest from some university researchers and collaborators that today I work with. So I would like to share a quantity of slides of my professional achievements and giving a little hint from where they come from regarding to the creative process. So as we have a limited time, I think what I want to leave you with good questions out of that and to inspire you. All of you surely are great researchers. That's why you're investing your time in your research in a week. So please pursue your research and your dreams. My presentation will come really fast slides. Okay, I will go really fast from slide to slide. There are a few videos, really short videos with music. So at the end of that, it'll be easier. We can discuss about questions. Okay, so please excuse me if the presentation it's like really fast forward, but I prefer, as you are visual, as you know what we are talking about. So I think the fast forward between the project can be the best way to share quantitatively a narrative of projects. Okay, so let's start. Alberto, are you seeing well the presentation?
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
Okay, if there is any audio delay, please interrupt me. I'm streaming from I'm in the middle of the forest in our forest house that I will show you later. So like we are using satellite to connect. Okay. So nature is a 3.8 billion years old designer. So when they ask me who is your best designer or best architect, I admire a pretty couple of architects and designers, but I think nature is my master, measure and mentor, as Janine Benus would say. I like these three definitions. So nature for me is the greatest designer. Nature is designing, making errors, modifying, evolving their systems, tenting new models, making hybrids between different models, copying the best solutions, testing them again and again and again. So nature is a evolutionary designer that design, there's no final product. Like in industrial design, linear perception of design, we think there is a final product. So I like to think that anything we design nothing is the last product. It's just part of evolution of design strategy. So nature operates in that way. So designing, testing, failing, designing again, testing, evolving. That's called evolution. And designing elegant and optimized and the highest intelligent solution. So nature is a 3.8 billion designer, and nature is the highest technology that we can find. So from that point of view, nature can come in three, for me personally, in three great, let's say, moments. It comes as emulation, so how we emulate natural process in our design process. Second, it comes as how we connect with nature, connection. So I will show you how we connect with nature, with our students, and what are these immersion programs. And then finally, what is the ethic, the bioethic of our ecological perception of the world, that I believe it's really important, and more than ever in this moment, to evolve our ecological consciousness, understanding diversity, understanding evolution, understanding that we are part of a web of life. So you will find in nature, I believe you saw so many amazing images of nature as designer, but you can see them all around you. You can see different strategy. You can see Voronoi code, you can see Fibonacci codes, you can see fractals, you can see fractals even on a micro and macro scale. You can see L system branchings, anything that can be observed, analyzed, parameterized, and used as a design strategy. So with that intuition, I came to UIC. I have a graduation. I graduated in architecture in Italy, in the Venice School of Architecture, kind of modernist, traditional school. But I was really lucky that I could go deep in philosophy and in arts, something that it's helping me in my process. And then I did master in the Pompeu Fabra in digital design or interactive design. And I got a scholarship by Pompeu Fabra for 1 year for a research group in audiovisual interaction and performance. Then I spent a couple of years in Barcelona. We opened an office. We were doing mapping, 3D interactives, everything that young were doing in Barcelona, foreigners as well coming, working together with people from Barcelona, with Catalans, designing new way of interaction and applying digital world in a theater, like with Fura del Ba, with Marcelí and other artists. I was performing that intuitively, coming from a Pompeu Fabra. Then when I came to UIC, I could come back to architecture, understanding how to use my digital knowledge in relation with the design processes, how to parameterize. And we were talking about parametric design 15 years ago. Alberto, we remember we were using like software that were pretty not easy. Like today you have Grasshopper, you have different plugins, and you have different like object-oriented programming. At the time, we were using top solid and really pretty difficult engineering programs, but at least they were parametric, and that was really advanced at the time, because architecture was not so close to the digital world. People were using AutoCAD still a lot as a main tool. So growing shape instead of designing shape in a Cartesian world was something pretty new, but was something really old as well. As we know, everything that we were designing today, or mainly a lot of things we were designing today, were already designed in the past. Even like in a Paleolithic architecture, in fiber architecture, even like from Gaudi to even experimentation from the 60s of Buckminster Fuller. Now today we have the tools to faster emulate those processes. So emulation is the basis of our office. We opened our office in Sao Paulo in 2006. We published a book in 2016 in Nature We Trust. Was 10 years of work. So we share with you some projects that were inspired by nature on different levels. Some purely inspirational, some let's say more formal on a superficial way. Some have a morphogenesis of using codes that derive from some observations of natural process, some materials, some of them in collaboration with biologists that we are lately collaborating pretty a lot here in Brazil. So you have different scales of project. They are all commissioned by clients, so they are pretty commercial projects. The clients come to our office and they're searching for something different. Eventually other offices of architecture are presenting in a different way. We are more let's say attuned with inspiration by nature, so our outputs are all different and pretty more exotic to the common sense. So we emulate forms, we emulate strategy, we emulate simple algorithms, and we emulate growing processes. You can find that in different moments. For example, you know all L system, how it can be simulated, how it could be emulated in different cases. You know how it can be emulated like Voronoi codes, so we can go in 3D reciprocal or 2D shapes and structures. And I think it's really important to go back to that concept of genetic architecture. That's something that was, I think it's a really important word, like biodigital. Genetic architecture brings try to dig deep in the most simpler process of morphogenesis. So how to come to the most simple process to generate the most simple components, to evolve those components in elements, in systems, and then to emulate those systems according to parameters and to get different results that can be used, that can have a fitting criteria to different functions in different uses and different programs. So yes, today we use Grasshopper, we use different, use Kangaroo or different other programs and plugins that can emulate, that can simulate, that can test, and they can prototype shapes. What is a kind of difference that we are atelier? It means that we go from the concept to the emulation and to the final prototype. So we build, we have a Hybrida, it's our construction company for special projects. So anything that we design, we build. So that's a different way than in architecture. In classical architecture, when architects receive a briefing, they develop a project and they send it to engineers. The engineers approve it, then they send it to official contractors, then the constructors build it, then they follow up the construction. In our case, we follow all the process. So that's a kind of a different, because we can emulate in different moments those processes.
Excuse me, we can't see the video.
Yes.
We can't see the video.
You can't see.
Yeah, we can't. I think you get out, and so I don't know. You should, I think, represent the thing again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for. Okay, test again. Do you see the video?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it
Thank
works.
you.
Yeah.
So that project was inspired by a simple movement, rotational movement, like a twist of a starflower, and we came out with evolving that movement in three-dimensional space. We came out with this bamboo structure, for example. Now, how, for example, a Voronoi code can inform our shapes. This is a project we did for Everstone in Sao Paulo in 2012. These are like tilings inspired by Voronoi code. They are like only 6 tiles repeating, and you don't see the repetitions just because of that diversity of rotations of the same component. So we mix 6 different skins of snakes in order to design this snake. The brand was from Australia, so we mix Australian skins code with Brazilian skin code, and we code this new skin that is like a blend between these between different species, and we use just 6 components in order to design this tiling. So how a leaf can inform, leaves can make long spans with really tiny profile. So in this we use as a strategy for TED Talks in the Amazon in 2010. We designed this structure in cardboard paper. It was from recycled cardboard, and it was recycled again. So it's 7 meters high with 2 meters span with just 5 millimeters thick cardboard. So it's using like origami structure that is surely inspired by leaves, by vegetal world, and we can design it just with 2 components. So with 2 components, we can make scenography stage design for 2,000 square meters, covering wall and building the backstage. The same different strategy with cardboard we used last year in another event. C-Star pneumatic system we used for a pavilion here on the Brazilian seaside. We have pretty similar problems with as a C-Star, big pressure from the top and moving strong winds like a C-Star have on the waves underwater. So it's in a shallow water, but it's have a pretty notable pressure on the 2 meters, and have moving waters that are moving on the sand. So it really needs to bear with lateral incident of forces. So 450 square meter pavilion. It's hosting around 300 people, and it's mimicking the pneumatic system of the C-Star, the same proportions. So you can see the box truss are just hanging the projection equipment. They're not hanging all the arches. The arches are 7 meters tall. They're made with 3 different membranes. So we mix the membranes according to the sunlight. So we can have different sunlight incidence control in the inside. We don't have a dark inside, inflatable ones. We have different membranes giving this light control. Radiolaria, yes, surely you know it pretty well. We use radiolaria in order to create another inflatable pavilion. Instead of using any kind of geodesic modulation, we are using circular modulation, diagonal modulation inspired by radiolaria, and the circles are projecting screens inside, and the membrane, you have three membranes. The one is a supporting membrane, is structural membrane, no, and then it's a membrane, covering membrane, and the light that making light effects, and there is like a projection membrane. So how we can think about walls as skins? Our skin here is multifunctional. It's protecting, it's communicating, it's structuring, it's controlling temperature. So how we can use the skin with different characteristic? Again, Voronoi inspired this pavilion that we did a few years ago, that we made a structure in polycarbonate. It's a covering, and it's a steel structure, and it's completely handcrafted, and it's a pavilion for a brand in which we make different ecosystems, self-sustainable ecosystem that we're listing for all that period of the exhibition. So that's the construction, how we operate on the construction level. So it's super handcrafted. In Brazil, we don't have robots. Oh yes, we do have robots completely controlled by a big industry of car industries. So as a designer and architects, we cannot send to print anything here, or just little models, or it's really expensive. So we consider that we have digital craftsmanship in an etymological sense of the word. We design our parametric projects, we communicate with
Oops, Marco, we don't see you. Oops. Okay, I hope Marco comes. Yeah, hello. Yeah,
hello.
Was broken. Yeah, connection. Now, okay.
So the craftsmanship, something really important. And on one side, evolve our digital process, and on the other side, we can evolve the craftsmanship from the region. And that's something we are working a lot. And this is a protocol of communicating digital to hand. Nests, another way of reciprocal frames that we are really interested in. I was pretty lately, I'm pretty studying about animal architecture. It's something we are posting a lot and communicating a lot, and I'm every day surprised, even now living in a forest. So that's something. So we have this kind of piling, we have different reciprocal frames done with the same system. Lamps, product design inspired by nature. This is a herbal lamp. It was grown in grasshopper. It was grown around 3,000 lamps. The only one that stood steady was this one, and was designed as handmade by a local company. This is a Luna lamp for Bertolucci. It's a moire effect. You have three different glasses with three different prints, so you can go from the full moon, and you can move from full moon to all the phases of the moon, and by so you control the intensity of light. It's serigraphy on the glass, three different glasses. It's really craftsman made, limited edition of lamps for Bertolucci brand. For Bertolucci brand, we designed as well this Liana lamp. It's an articulated lamp. This is installed in the Lina Bobardi building. It's an articulated lamp that can be moved in different angles. Another project, it's a trail for Bocuse d'Or in Lyon, in France. 2 years ago, we designed this trail made in copper, bamboos, that are components that can be connected between each other and create this 2-meter wide trail. Forest, as well as a sensation, as a mood. It's an amazing inspiration. Then I hope we can have time to talk about the forest as an intelligent superorganism system. But in this case, I'm showing you more like the bucolic moment of inspiration for this project.
The video is finished.
Sorry?
Yeah, the video is finished.
Okay, no worry. We go further. I hope you could see a part of it. It's a forest inspired by different mirrors, creating this inspirational bucolic space of what it means to get lost in a forest. And to get lost in a forest, it's a really poetical and revealing moment. So for Brajovic, we design this bucolic forest made out of mirrors, different properties of glasses and mirrors, creating this infinite garden, this infinite Eden. That was the main idea. Another forest we designed just with form-finding rings, few rings with natural fibers to generate this forest. You are surely familiar with this Frey Otto effect that you can generate by having different profiles and tensing fibers on it. So it's a really simple strategy, but it's really cool to experiment. You can get really amazing shapes out. So this is a forest we designed for the Biennale of Design in Belo Horizonte in 2012.
Excuse me.
Dandelion.
I'm sorry. You are not sharing your screen. Sorry.
Not visible?
Not
Okay.
visible.
Good. Please inform me. I will do it again. So it seems it's falling. The share is falling after.
Yeah, after the
video.
movie.
Okay.
After the movie, you were speaking, but without images.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. A form-finding forest. This one made the different rings. As I tell you, like you're surely familiar with this Frey Otto effect, no? Of inversing and of tensing of form finding. Basically, with different profiles, you have here an elliptic and a circle. And just with elliptic and circles moving and rotating with the same profile, we can generate a pretty diversity of trees. So the simplest parameter, the simplest component in generating diversity in perception. This is made for the Biennale. Dandelion, another inspirational project inspired by nature of this effect. This was made for the Brazilian airplane company. They want to celebrate 50 years of Bandeirante. It's the best product actually they did in the 50s eventually. Pretty innovative product, and that was they launched the company. So they want to make a celebration sculpture and to install it on the main airport in Sao Paulo and then in the museum. And we designed these 3 big dandelions that are like showing this flight of a company and of the airplane. I will go with the video, so please tell me if it's coming. Okay, it's visible?
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, this is a mountain. We designed inverse mountain. It's like a catenarias mountain made out with wool. This is a Montenegro pavilion for the Expo Milano. We won. We were winner of the international competition. And this pavilion is actually creating this huge mountain that is reflecting in this lake, mirrored lake, and people can walk on top of it, and it's interacting with people moving with different colors. So it's like placing the public in the most precious symbol that Montenegro want to bring, like flying over the mountains. So this walk over these symbolic elements that is like the circle, the lake, the mountain, and the art exhibition that we curated around. They're making this full involvement in the Montenegrin mood. This is a pavilion from 5 years ago. Waves, a big inspiration for us in the series of project we did for Camper. Camper came to us 5 years ago. They wanted to make this Camper Together project. So Camper Together project is a limited edition of interiors. They design with different designers. So you have from campanas to Nendo to the different designers design this collaboration. So it's like 5 projects together with them. So we wanted to have a project that can be adapted with local parameters in each country, but with a general concept. So we use natural forces as inspiration for different projects. So for example, wave is an inspiration in one store in Sao Paulo and in other regions. So you can see it's made by shoelaces, thousands and thousands of shoelaces. So we parameterize different natural moments and use that. This is this. So typhoon was an inspiration for Melbourne. So we can capture simple parameters, of vortex, and use that vortex effect, centrifugal forces, and centrifugal forces in order to design the morphogenesis of the ceiling and how it adapts to the 3D model with constraints of the 3D model. And then we reproduce that physically. So that's a kind of really handmade work. You put shoelaces in slices on different heights. Surely they are like shablons that are defining the heights. So each country, in Australia, in Germany, in Italy, we have one in the north of San Sebastian, Spain. We have now actually even in Thailand we have more than 6 or 7 stores designed this way. Another inorganic physics of movement used as a parameter is this splashing or opening of water is for Coca-Cola Pavilion for the Olympics, actually for the World Cup in Rio de Janeiro. So this splashing opening was inspiration. This pavilion with more than 600 different spheres on different dimensions were creating this bar that open and splashes in the middle. So we have this bar in the middle and we have this explosion of bubbles. Yeah, surely they're fixed and the movement is obtained by lightning, creating the effect of movement. But then we have different activation. You have concave and convex mirror for selfies to be involved in that. You have 360 degrees cameras, etc., etc. So it's a brand experience for Coca-Cola. We design using the parameters of opening, of splashing, effervescent of the water. Another project.
Yeah, the video is stopped.
Video stopped, okay. Do you see now the screen?
Not yet.
Okay, let's do it again. Okay, we are back.
No. Yes, now perfect.
Okay. So what was this project about? You eventually see the beginning. It's not so important to go in detail, it's just contextualizing. So what you are seeing is a powder. It's a powder made out of organic sugarcane. And there was like a company that patented this organic powder from rest of sugarcane industrial process of making gasoline. And what they're using that? They want to use that to to clean the water from petroleum leaking. So this kind of powder, it's floating, is absorbing the petroleum, and you can gather it and have clean water back again. So it's an amazing design product from my point of view. But then they didn't know how to present that product. So they said, okay, let's go to the fairs, like petroleum fairs, like energy fairs, when we can show the powder. But it was not sexy. How do you show that? So they decided to present this product at the Dubai Design Days in 2017. So they came to us and said, okay, what we can do, how we can show that powder and attract the attention of important players that could eventually use that powder to clean their facilities, tubes, petroleum leaking in the sea. How we can present that? So we knew that the Design Dubai event where lots of sheikhs come, with lots of important people come. It's a really important event, and actually co-curated and participation of some local sheikhs as well. So we decided to present the product as a design product. So we created these bamboos made out of that powder. We came 1 week before. We gather the most rusty and used black oil. So we dip them in oil, this bamboo. We rotate them fastly as a performance, 180 degree, and we just place that in this mirrored pavilion. So what you could see in those days was like a pavilion, like a bamboo forest, and those bamboo were leaking slowly. This bamboo was going, the black oil was going down until it painted completely the bamboo in black as the material was absorbing. So it was kind of performance showing in a poetic way the use of that powder, how it could be used. So that the oil was dropping slowly with lots of days and getting absorbed by this material. Okay, and another project, this was for the Olympics. Nike wanted to make like a project that would stay for the community. So in the favela region, they want to refurbish one sport facilities. So these sport facilities have one, let's say, architectural path flow problem. You have entrances from two sides, was really narrow, so you have like collisions of flows from students from these two moments. So we use that, let's say, problem to simulate the entropy and the movement of fluids through tiny tubes. And so that space was created in that way. So all the negative space from the fluid simulation, we created these benches that were flowing through the space. They were using to sit, to make stretching. They were using for skating, riding. They're using as bicycle racks. So the same material, the same component was evolved through the space, creating different functions and acquiring different colors, marking different programs for each space. So it's a really simple construction. It have two main components. You have the parametric main components that is generating the profiles, and then the polygonal coverings in metal bars. Really robust, really strong, like really light. So as much rain falls and everything can pass through it, and it's still there, serving the communities. Another project, this in metals, again in metal structures, components, furniture company wanted to make an installation for design weekend in Sao Paulo. So we designed a bench, an urban bench that could be connected between each other with different angles. Again, a kind of origami folding system, a really simple one with 3 triangles and weaved with ropes. So we could generate this kind of wave, self-sustainable wave coming on a top in front of the brand building. All those elements actually they were used later as chairs and they have nautical ropes as outdoor furniture for Sao Paulo. Sound as well can inform our project. This was a project for Google. Think with Google is a big event, in-house event that Google do. So for the scenographer that he went, I analyzed with our team. we analyzed the sound, the frequency of the word think. So think, as all other words, they come in a frequency, in a 2D frequency, and can be simulated in a 3D wave. So how this wave could bounce on the walls. And that space at Google main quarter, actually we designed the Google VIP quarter as well, but in the other main room, they have like kind of brick wall. So we wanted to make something unusual and uncanny, something a little bit disturbing. So we created another layer of bricks in isoform that were like modeled on different heights, reproducing the bouncing on the wave think. So you have the same brick wall, but something strange happened on it. Actually, it received a wave of think word, and it created this kind of bouncing. So the final effect, the room was the same, it just was like molded, sculptured by the frequency of the word think. Brazilian Pavilion at Expo Milano, we did this project together, was an international competition as well. We won this competition together with Studio Artur Casas. And here, I could be too much extended on this project. It's a pretty big project, but I will just show you the video and give you a few hints on what it's about. Basically, we wanted to talk about Brazil. It's an institutional pavilion, and Expo should talk about future, not about present. So we want to talk about future, how we imagine not centralized, distributed, democratic production of food and the relation in between agriculture and nature in Brazil. So created a network as a symbol of interconnectivity and that non-centralized way of perceiving the ecosystem and its relations with human and all species. So the net was a strategy that covered 1,000 square meters, 1,200 square meters. People could walk on it. Sound were following you of birds by sensors of Kinects, detecting your position, lights, smells of different agricultures, different natural cultures, plant, institutional cultures that Brazil is exporting, different 3D interactive that you can manipulate. Long story short, we wanted to talk not through vision, but from all other senses: smell, touch, equilibrium, temperature, humidity. We were spraying water with different temperature. So how we can talk with all senses and communicate contents with all senses as a multisensory experience. So the net was working on dividing the two floors under. You could have more institutional perception and more touchy perception with the culture, natural cultures, and from the top you can have a more multisensorial perception. Here comes the video. Okay, uploading. Okay, I believe you get the point. It's a pretty big project, but you can understand it's really a simple system. We have like a frame, steel frame, huge structure, and inside it's tensed this weaved net. The net was a pretty interesting experience. How we did the relation between the modeling of that net for the competition. So we got a competition. Okay, great, we won a competition. Now how you build it, you can model it in Grasshopper, and you can have 1,000 square meters landscape 3D net. But now how you build it? So we moved with a group from Berlin that was actually from Stuttgart University background, and they could parameterize that in a constructive process. We made different prototype, different models, and the net should be designed according to all tensional properties of the material. So that was a kind of very interesting process to me personally of understanding how you come from a 3D model that really look like you want it to look and experience work, but how you build it and how you make it happen in 1 year. Another project I want to show you, it's an opera. So I was inviting few years ago to design not only a stage but all the creative direction for an opera, indigenous opera. So when we talk about indigenous cultures in Brazil, and that's something I'm particularly close and interested, I'm particularly respecting the ancestral traditions of Brazilian cultures, indigenous cultures. I didn't want to show them and that opera as a folkloric event. I want to show it like as a high tech from nature, because indigenous culture in all South America, and I believe in all the world, they're actually talking directly with nature as technology. They're like natural operators. They're like technicians from nature. So they understand exactly the intelligence and the technology of nature. So I want to show it as a high tech, as a kind of high tech opera. I want it to look more like as a Daft Punk concert than as a traditional folkloric opera. Here comes a small video. It's called Poranduba. Another project inspired by Brazilian indigenous cultures is the house here where I am now. It was inspired by Assurini houses. This is a picture from Alice Collar, Assurini houses in central Brazil. And I want to create a house that is inspired by this indigenous self-supporting structure but made with contemporary materials. This is a house we designed. It's completely prefab. The main supporting structure comes from Israel. It's a self-supporting system in Gavalumen material. It's like 10 by 10. The house actually 11 by 11, and it's creating a really generous inside space. We use this space for living, for working. It's our, let's say, forest office where we bring our office and our architects to work with. You can see these two big blackboards that actually the doors of two can be used as room or two small offices, and the central area with a table for 12 people. Another inspiration are the Ashaninka houses. This is in Acre, or close to Peru, that I have a chance to visit and spend some time in the community there. And the Ashaninka houses are particularly intelligent, and is pretty close to the Peruvian architecture from the Amazon. They're really intelligent how they deal with the space and with the storage space. So the same space can be transformed during the day. So this is a really simple frame structure, repetition frame structure, and it's the same. I call it time architecture and not space architecture, because the same 100 square meter you can use 100% as a sleeping place, 100% as a working place, 100% for lunch, 100% for fun, and 100% to tell stories, because you actually move all your furniture in these side pockets of the building, like they do in the Ashaninka. So you're always using 100% of your space, not like in our Occidental culture, where we go from room to room and using always from 50 to 20 square meters. mushroom, another structure on a structural level, is inspiring this new project we are designing here in Brazil. It's just a central distribution system, and it's evolved from all sides, and it's a project we are doing for development. Here there are like 5 houses. They collect water in the middle, and they have a 360 degrees overview. Another project we are doing in the Amazon forest, we won last year the prize from Goethe Institute and Prince Claus for the projects sensible to environmental changes and socially, artistically sensible project to environmental changes. This is a floating library. We start the development in January. Surely we are stopped now. I hope we can go still before the end of the year to make the second and third phase. And it's inspired by snakeskin with recyclable plastic recyclable from the Amazon. There is plastic there. People are throwing plastic. So we will collect those plastic bottles, recycle them, PET, and make the closures. This is the floating library, Community Mamori floating library. And this is our first prototype we were designing in January. So the reciprocal frame in order to create this simple 6x6 space. Nature as well on a larger scale is a metabolic process for architecture. So in this project that it's under construction, the first phase was done in Sao Paulo, was for a pretty big shopping center that is dedicated only to food. So it's like a grocery store for food, and partly organic, partly not. So we created, we were researching about metabolic architecture, even from the 60s, 70s at Japan, how we can evolve that concept as a relation between nature, architecture, and community, local community. So how we can create a building that can have a metabolic system between biodigesters, between composting, the same composting go to the restaurant, go to plantations. The plantations are feeding the restaurants creating biogas. The biogas go back to the kitchen, and so on. So the cyclus is closed, the energy cyclus is closed in the building. So this is a project. It's pretty kind of invading the building with spontaneous growing. So it's a food forest process of agroecological plantations, no monoculture, but pretty diverse local culture of growes. Roots is a project we designed for Design Miami in December of last year. This year, this project was selected for the Biennale of Venice, and the Biennale of Venice last week was postponed. But the original project in the Venice Biennale, we will evolving that project. But I will show you the original project we did here in Miami. So how roots can inform, can inspire the growing process, and how roots of a mangrove can create dwellable and livable spaces. So for Miami Design, Ximena Caminos, as a curator of Honey Lab, invite us to think about a pavilion that could be displayed in the Design Miami spaces. So we study different processes of system evolving of roots, branches in the mangrove, and we define, here you can see the process that you are knowing as well. So here we can define different profiles, hierarchical structure, exponential profiles, and here is a video showing the growing process of the 3D model. So this video and audio, you can see how the simulation, the growing process of a 3D model, we tested different 3D models. So we are testing how the growing process is evolving as a branching, and how it's sustained later as an reverse structure. So we were testing kind of catenaria structure. We were testing it structurally in this position, and then we install it other way around.
The presentation is out, yeah. The images.
Could you see?
No,
okay.
We don't see images.
Are you seeing now?
Yeah, we begin to see. Yes. Good. Perfect.
So this is the growing process of the 3D model that we are printing different 3D models in order to understand the structural and hierarchical process relationships. Okay. Here comes the construction. The construction really rough. This is in aluminum tubes and covered with ropes. So connection, we were talking about emulation. So connection is about workshops we are doing. So how we can create connection with our students to the nature. So I'm a co-director of Architecture Association Visiting School Amazon, together with Nacho Martin, that is a director of material lab at the AA, and actually he was ex Elisava alumni, and he pretty, thanks to him actually, and thanks to Ignacy, I came to Brazil as they invite me first time in this location that is called Memorial Lake in 2005. So first time I came here as Memorial Club with Nacho. We developed different workshops. At the end, 15 years of workshops on this lake every year. It came out 5 years ago. It was introduced as Architecture Station Business School Amazon. And today we did last workshop last year. And this year workshop is postponed again for next year. But basically we are bringing our students, usually from 15 to 20 participants in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. And we create a lab where we start a process of first connecting with nature. We use the biomimicry process. Together with us is the biomimetist Alessandra Araujo from the Arizona University, master graduated, and with her we first start with eyesight. So how to connect with all senses with nature. Then we go directly to problem solving, to parameterizing analogically, and then we go to digital parametrics, and then we go to physical prototyping. So it's a process of 10-day workshop, really tense, when we test all the processes as our office do in a really short time, but in a really deep natural environment where people get really connected with that environment, and really funny and interesting projects come out in a really short time. 2 years ago, we did, for example, a little floating architecture as well. That was pretty interesting. We made it in 10 days. We could design it and build it. So how much in a natural environment, when you are connected, can inspire you, and how your productivity it's powerful. So with 20 students to build a floating architecture in 10 days, I think it's something really, really unique. And that's what natural environments, I think, create. It intensify your creative process and intensify your abilities and skill to connect and collaborate with other humans. Bioethics. I want to close now how nature inspires. I really like the Weinstock. Losing the video?
No, now it's okay.
Hello?
Now it's okay.
It's okay, great. So I really like the definition of Weinstock that go directly to the point that the form is generated by the flow of energy, matter, and information. So how the forms are generated and how human forms are related constantly with the changes of our climate. So the interrelation between form, natural forms, and our physical forms are strictly correlated. There is a strict correlation in a time frame of humanity from the few main revolution of cognitive revolution, agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, and I believe nowadays an ecological revolution. Architectures are reflecting those revolutions. So architectures are directly correlated with the influences of natural forces, of flows of energy, information, and matter. And that comes out as well with a specific moment where we are now in history. So this climate change moment as well it's a great moment of change in architecture, in our way, how we perceive, how we build, and how we adapt to those changing conditions. So now the main features of nature is adapting to changing conditions. So we are adapting actually to what is happening and how we can anticipate those adaptations and how our architecture should move forward from a modernist industrial era, a linear, non-regenerative era, to the new organic era of designing and thinking in architecture. So these are, let's say, the fourth evolution I believe we are in, and we are part of it, and we are responsible, positively responsible for it, that we are in evolution, an ecosystemic evolution, from the centralized to the not centralized to the distributed net of relations, social, political, and architectural structures reflect constantly those systems. Nowadays, we are moving to ecosystemic evolution, and this is the kind of drawing that for me represent that evolution between humans, between nature, in this net of life, this web of life, where everything is interconnected, not centralized, and where each component is responsible for the integrity of the structure. From that's come really close from 60s, from Buckminster Fuller, to contemporary reciprocal structures, and it's really explicit in so many projects. So that's a kind of movement that I believe we are all part, and we need to nourish, because evolving architecture is evolving our mental perception of the ecosystem. So the blue marble, our planet, yes, from my point of view, it's a huge organism, is a superorganism, is a Gaia concept. It's a way of organism that it's constantly auto-adapting, it's constantly evolving, and its biosphere is interrelating between biotic and abiotic world. The forest going smaller in scale, it's another superorganism of billions of organisms communicating and collaborating together. So this idea of competition in nature, actually in last years, it comes clear in so many papers that nature is not so much, only in few cases, about competition. It's about collaboration. So if survival, it's about collaboration, forest is a superorganism and a super example how organisms collaborate, and how symbiotic relations and collaborating alliances are more important than hierarchical chain food relations that people teach. And even more, if you go deeper, I like these Pablo Amaringo paintings. When you go deeper, if some of you experience more deeper subtle energy connection with the energy of the forest through ancestral rituals and forest medicines, you can connect even deeper, and you can feel that interconnectivity between the symbolic, physical energy flow and information in all the system of the forest. So we are part of nature. We are nature, actually. It's not this romantic difference between us and nature. So this is a romantic and illuminist moment. I think we evolved in understanding we are nature. So I like to close this thinking with this avatar image that I nourish as a connection between all the species together with Mother Earth as a sublime technology and sublime knowledge, information, supercomputer processing. These are a few projects I want to show you just fastly, that we are provoking this moment, a socio-political moment in Brazil. So how Brasilia, a capital, could be transformed in a forest back again, this huge field, not productive field in the agroforestal system, so politicians could a little bit work on the land and they could connect more with the ground. How Sao Paulo could reviving the rivers and curing our relation with the rivers, that it's so important to cure the dignity of the city and human dignity, how we can bring the forest back to the city and make not city in the forest, and not the forest city, but city as a forest. And this is another example how we see Sao Paulo again in 2030, when forest is coming back to the city, coexisting with all other species. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope that for all our students, this will be very inspiring and full of hope in their future work. I don't know if someone want to ask or comment or something, they can open the micro.
Hello?
Hello, hello.
Yeah, hello, Rakan.
Yeah, hi. Can I ask you about the sugarcane again? Could you open it again and explain more about it if you have the time? Just what exactly inspired you of putting it with the black oil and waited for the I think we lost him.
No, I'm here. I'm opening.
Ah, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So what basically inspired me, Rakan, was to show the properties of a material, the absorption properties of oil of a material, creating a forest. Creating a forest, but creating a forest of bamboo forest that is blackening. So for me, it have two messages. It have personally, okay, as it's an authorial interpretation. I will open it like this, okay? Can you see it?
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
yes, okay.
I think it's easier here. We can, it will not fall down the connection. So, can you see the video?
Yeah, perfect.
So these are the properties of the material, Rakan. So it's absorbing, highly absorption of oil, and it can use as well as a compost later on with this organic absorption. So I have two purposes in this project. One is showing the technical and technological properties of that material and how it could be used. So there were a screen showing this video. There were another screen in the pavilion showing the technical characteristics. And from the other side, I want to make, as well as it is a design event, I want to make an art installation, and an art installation that come not only with an aesthetical presentation, but an ethical presentation of what I consider as ecologist as well, relation of petroleum, but oil with the contemporary civilization. So as well, it's I think it's a positive provocation of understanding, of making a little bit uncomfortable and uncanny situation of you seeing such a clean forest getting completely black after a certain time. That's something I'm feeling in lots of moments in nature relation to oil exploitation in Brazil and in different countries. So that's a kind of aesthetical and ethical approach as an architect and artist. And on the other way around, as I mentioned, it's a technical presentation of the absorption properties.
It's very smart. Thank you. Very, very smart. I just when I saw the image. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, some questions more, some comments.
Also, if I can ask again. So the last image for Brazil, you said 2030 should be a forest come back to the city or a city of a forest. So this vision is start in Brazil or just a vision? Could this actually happen, or it will be just a futuristic idea?
Beautiful question, Rakan. Actually, I believe you already answered this question. A vision is something that can happen. If we do not envision the future, it will never happen. So when we make envisioning the future as a positive future, it have a chance to happen. So I believe in different humans nowadays want to bring forest back to the city because the forest is the smartest auto-regulating and resilient system. No, it's the highest technology. It can pump water, generate light, purify air. It can make this. It can compact the soil, maintain the soil, bring back manantial waters and cleaning water. So it's the highest technology to purify our cities, to bring forest back to the city. Now, people are doing that in a different ways. People are just planting flowers in the garden. Some people are like planting trees at night in the middle of the city in a more revolutionary way. Some people are making a project at university designing that, but I'm provoking the way that we need first to envision, to imagine that future in order to happen. So in this moment of such a like negative perception of the future, of catastrophic perception, I believe the contrary. We need to envision the light and the beautiful future for humanity, and then we can get together and make it happen.
We hope so, because these things we all inspired. For example, I came from Jordan, and Jordan become less and less and less and less green, become desert by time. It's just blocks of houses, and there is no any green, no any trees. You can find like a little, as you say, flowers, but you can't see this green thing that we miss. So, but also we should also think about the structure of if we want to build a garden on the top of roofs of the city. So we have also to think about the structure. Could this work if we want to plant like a big trees, olive trees, palm trees, whatever, or what kind, any kind of trees. So also we have to think about the structure. Could that happen? Could that affect the buildings or?
So that's an architectural challenge. You see, you already found a briefing how to make architectural structure that can be auto-supported and plugged in existing buildings. So there is everything to be designed. And so we are architects, we are designers, and that's our duty. So that's a beautiful challenge.
Yes, thank you.
So maybe you find that you need to do a supplementary effort if you are designing more complex forms as you are solving things in a more conventional and straight line way. So maybe you can say some words about the effort, this supplementary effort that you need when you are going in these ways that that we teach in the master already. That sometimes it's easier to think, okay, I solve this with a straight plan and nothing more, as thinking how I will build in the reality some forms that are more complex as maybe very much easier solutions.
Okay, that in fact is the main issue, how we go from digital to physical. And like I mentioned, in Brazil, we don't have such technology, and it's not democratized such technology to go from digital to physical, just purely CAD/CAM, like ready to print. So I think it's an ingenuity, how you experiment and how you test different construction techniques that come from handcraft, and it's aligned with a digital process. That's, let's say, for me, really interesting. So you talk with who you're building with. Like, you know better than anybody how Gaudi was building. He was talking with his craftsmanship. Otherwise, he could never get to such complexities. So I believe here, what we are doing, we are constantly talking with craftsmen and what they could do. So there is a pretty close relation between a basket weaving, that it's a digital process, digital dedo, from 01, weaving the complex shape or reciprocal frame and programming a complex shape. So we can find this kind of parallels pretty a lot, and we can make an inverse engineering. We can say, okay, what we can build with those craftsmanships, and then we adapt the way we can program those shapes. So in our cases, it's a really straight contact between what could be done experimented with different materials, and according to that, what we can program in that direction. So I believe when we as architects and designers are close to materials, to material systems, how material properties are, how materials work, to touch them, to make physical models, and then to parameterize, to make again physical model, then go digital, physical, digital, physical. This kind of bouncing create small errors where creativity comes out and ingenuous solution comes out. So in our case, we are all the time experimenting, and what helps the experimentation are brave clients. First of all, there is no good project without a good client. Second, we start with small things. So if we go, okay, let's make a complex surface building, it's things that I hope we will come to, but we start with small things. We started with small things, pavilion, scenography, design objects, and experimenting. And then the scale start to grow, but it's a trial and error. I don't see a formula. I can see that for me, it's important to have a direct contact with who is building those objects and learning about traditional materials and traditional technique that work with tension and not compression. Everything that can work with tension and component based, and we have from basket weaving to so many other traditional techniques, it can be very interesting for complex surfaces. And everything that works with compression, like our Babylonian architecture that it's just piled up and work with compression, that will not work easily with complex surfaces, and that's something we are going away from.
Very interesting conclusion, yeah. So one more.
Hi.
Okay. Hello, Yomna.
No, Natalia.
Okay.
Hi, Marco. About what you said, the last opinion about the craft work. I appreciate that because I'm from Colombia, and I know the effort that we can do in Latin America countries to work with these new technologies, because it's not available in all of these countries. And also I think that the combine the craft work and this social development in different craft work, like a night or another different work that different communities do, maybe turn more rich the work in the architecture combined with the biology designs. So I don't know, you can if you can do something about this.
Sorry, it interrupted at the end. Could you repeat just the last sentence, please?
Yes, about the craft work of a indigenous community with the biology design in the architecture, for example. That is
okay.
For me, I think it's very rich because it's combined not only the biological dimension, plus the social dimension of the humanity too.
That's Natalia, exactly the point that I think it's important to touch, the dimension points. So when you are combining the ancestral knowledge of craftsmanship with the digital contemporary process, you are connecting two really important and really existential moments, because all the, like, as you know, all the craftsmanship comes out as an expression of the cosmic vision, of the cosmovision of cultural, social, and subconscious relations between humans and nature, and that connection expresses a lot in a craftsmanship. So when you are researching and analyzing about mathematical and narrative and semiotical and anthropological and name it items of like a basket, you are talking directly with the perception of nature of traditional cultures, and that contact and perception of nature is a direct link with nature. So if you want to, I believe so, if you want to talk about biological process in our design, that contact with nature for ancestral culture, it's amazingly rich, and it can generate so many futuristic outputs. And I believe the future is ancestral. I believe the future in our process, it's really connecting with ancestral knowledge, because their knowledge is completely digital in a sense of perceiving the flow of information matter and energy through the systems of nature. So if you kind of code and feel that coding in a maybe not Cartesian, maybe not cognitive well, but in a subtle well through different other practices, that is not only architecture as a practice of connection. There are different practices that eventually, I can imagine you know them. You can connect in a more subtle way without energy, and you can design from that dimension.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, someone more. You have behind you, Marco, you have the structure of your house. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. It's a self-supporting.
Mhm. Oh, we lost the image.
Yes. It's weak, the connection, so
Yeah, okay. Good. So thank you for your presentation and your words. And I hope that now students will see future in a different way, more realistic, because it's sometimes you can think that making exercises in the master, it's only about utopian things, but you are an example that this can be real. And okay, so thank you very much, Marco. And
thank you all. And Alberto, if you want to share my email with all the participants, I'll be really glad to answer further question. If who is interested, I can involve in our mailing of our newsletters and participate in our project and give more information of our groups, like on Facebook. We have Design by Nature group that it's pretty cool. People are sharing everything related with design and nature, but I can give you more information as well, like about biomimicry groups. If you want to know more about platform, and you can consult biological system. This is a biology university open for consultants. It's interesting as well for you to get more biological information about biology. But I can share that if Alberto permits me, really, really with big pleasure.
yeah, of course, of course. Now it's easy to connect, and also yes, we have also all the links in Facebook, and so it's easy to be in touch. Thank you, Marco. So see you.
You're welcome.
Thank
you. Nice
you
to
to
meet
all
you.
the people that was here also hearing you. Okay, see you. Bye.
Thank you.
And
Thank
see
you. Thank
you
you.
soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Soon we are connected.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ciao, Professor Alberto. Ciao.
Ciao.
Gracias.
Ah, vale, hasta pronto.
Chao, nos vemos.
Ciao, ciao. So Angat, are you here, Angat?
Oh yeah, I'm the only one left. I was just
Yeah.
I was just putting it on and I'm trying to
Now
finish something.
I will see. Yeah, we are alone.
Yeah.
I have now, so yeah, 10 minutes, 50 minutes. I don't know if you want to begin to see something? And if not, at 9 or something like this,
Yeah, I
or
think
as you want.
yeah, I think 9, 9:30 should be okay.
Okay.
9:30.
Okay, 9:30. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So yes,
Okay, so
after dinner, I will meet
perfect.
you, and then I will show you, and then we can talk.
Perfect. So we can come in the same room, yeah, in this room.
In the same room? Okay, perfect.
As you want or not.
Okay, anything is fine. Either in this or Zoom, anything.